My top video is my cheap $35,000 airplane, and of course my comment section has gotten flooded with, but how much does it actually cost to own an airplane? It's kind of an annoying comment because it seems to be aimed at discouraging newcomers to aviation. However, it is true that there are some pretty heavy costs associated with ownership, and today I'm going to cover what tends to be the top ownership cost, and that's the annual inspection. On this channel, I discuss living globally along with business hacks in real estate and healthcare, showing you the path so that you can do the same. I also have a major announcement for all my subscribers that want to see me doing more aviation videos. My name is Carl Pierre, and this is ENTP Life. Now, it's been a while since I've flown because I had moved to Colombia in October, but I'm back up for 2 weeks here in January. Don't know when this video is coming out, but it's January 2022 now, and I'm here to bring my aircraft for its annual inspection. But before I take off, since it's been a while, I got to do a thorough pre-flight inspection, make sure everything is working properly. I'm going to be taking off here from Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport and flying northeast to Pompano. And that's where my mechanic is stationed. So it's going to be a short flight, and I'm going to get to talk to the mechanics and the people at the shop to give you an idea of what it's like to go through an annual inspection and what one can expect when it comes to owning an aircraft. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to tie down the entire plane. I'm going to do a full walk around, inspecting the propeller, the alternator belt, making sure that everything is working okay. I haven't started the plane in about 2 or 3 months, actually 3 months since I've started the plane, so hopefully I have charge in my battery and I'm able to get it started. But I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough, make sure everything is functional, and then we're going to be up in the air. See, right in here, that's the alternator belt right there. So you always want to check and make sure that that's nice and tight, doesn't have any cracks. That gets replaced every year anyway. Didn't get much use this year. I think I flew less than 50 miles or 50 hours this year for sure. So we just go in there and make sure there's no bird's nests, beehives, or anything like that. Make sure the prop is free of any nicks, nice and straight. Same thing here. Lost some paint there. Everything was looking good. So now here's a common problem. Let me try to get closer, you can see that. This is my Pitot Tube. This helps me, well, it actually is the device that measures my airspeed when I'm flying. If you could look at that, some animal decided to build its nice little house inside my Pitot Tube. I should have a Pitot Tube sleeve to cover that, and I lost it. And I haven't bought a new one. So I got to clear that out to make sure that I have free-flowing air in there. And when you're doing your walk around, this is exactly why you have to do it. Oftentimes, I wouldn't even want to say oftentimes, but sometimes pilots can neglect their pre-flight and they can find themselves in major trouble. For example, if you decided to take off with your Pitot Tube blocked, you're not going to get your airspeed, right? Which is completely a no-no. You can't fly around not knowing what your airspeed is. If anybody says anything differently and says that I'm not telling the truth, you know, maybe they fly around with no airspeed, but there's definitely no way that I would. So you would want to make sure that that tube is free and clear, because airspeed is practically everything involved in aviation. You know what the per gallon price is right now? $7.61 per gallon. $7.61. A total of 30 gallons. $7 a gallon. I'd call it 8. It was what, $320? So we're pretty much gassed up. Took about 30 gallons of fuel, so that's what, $320 or so based on the current fuel price. We're only flying to Pompano, which is like less than 15 miles away, and that's where my mechanic is. So we're gonna get this bad boy fired up and up and out of here. Got my pre-flight list right here. So this is the list, all to get started, starting the engine, and then getting ready to take off. I'll show you some realities of a cheap airplane. I got my intercom, because there's only one headphone jack. So for me to have 4 people in this aircraft, I need this intercom that also connects back here. But it's held by some Velcro right there. See that? And then here's some other things you could expect. You know what I mean? Your door panel is gonna be kind of flimsy, right? This is a 60-year-old plane, so all of this has worn out. You can't even get this situated. It's like shrunken and everything. So I might be getting a new interior, maybe. Still have yet to commit to that. But expect, you know, old. I mean, the sun is frying me up. Expect old out of an aircraft, you know, that you're paying $35,000 for. We're on, and that's pretty much it. I'm gonna continue on the checklist here. Oil pressure. There's a lot going on when you're flying really nearby. You can't really pay attention to film because everything's connected. It's one airspace or another. I'm not going to be whipping up the camera while I'm flying. Yeah, and the reason I'm sweating like this is because it really isn't any air conditioning in this bad boy. When you're up in the air, it gets cool, so you're not really sweating this bad. But I'm in pretty much Miami area, so it's pretty warm, even in January. And if you're just 1,000 feet in the air, it doesn't get that cool just yet. It doesn't start getting cool to a few thousand up there. So I'm sweating like a beast here. But we arrived. This is where there's actually a few interesting things here. Let me just turn this on. So that's the TBM maintenance service area. So you'll see a lot of the TBM aircrafts coming in, getting their work done. Got the fuel refueling station here. And here is my mechanic. So I have my logbooks here. I'm gonna bring in, and we're getting set for our annual. Hopefully he's going to be willing to answer some questions, to talk a little bit about what we have going on here. And yep, this is the big brother of my aircraft. This is the Dakota, came after. Hello, hello. Good, how about yourself?
What's going on?
Due for annual. You told me to drop off.
So you talk to, because everything changed here.
Okay. So it turns out my mechanic has now changed because the company was sold. So I'm here in a different hangar than I walked into originally. But fortunately it was just right next door. Ooh, look at this bird. It's also an aircraft that I wanted. These are the Columbias. Getting this engine overhauled.
Hello, my name is Augustin Mays. I'm the owner of Zero Gravity Aviation, and we do from Cessna 172s to Cheyenne, Keen Airs, annual inspections, all type of maintenance. Like for example, this came from Africa on container, and it is almost ready to go fly.
Awesome. So I did a video on owning cheap aircraft, right? And I got a lot of feedback from other pilots that say, well, it might be cheap to buy an airplane, but what about maintaining it? I brought my plane in for its annual inspection. What have you seen, both positive and I guess nightmares, when it comes to pilots bringing in older aircrafts for their annual inspections?
Every airplane is a different scenario. Every owner is a different world. And some owners take care of their airplanes, invest money, fly safe. Some, they don't really care, and I try to stay away from those customers because they're in trouble and they don't want to pay the bills, and it's headaches for my job. So like for example, I just had a Warrior, and that Warrior has a cracked exhaust, very cracked. So I flew the day before and I smelled the CO2. I told the guy, listen, we have to land because you have a problem with exhaust. That was the problem, and the GE didn't change the oil. they didn't watch the airplane, broken exhaust, leaks everywhere, and so that's the kind of type of customer that if they want to own an airplane, they better have the money to fix it, because it's not like you could pull to the side of the road and hey, call a tow truck and pull it. No, it's a different scenario. So if you want to own an airplane, you must be able to pay for maintenance, and not cheap bureaucratic maintenance. You need to hire somebody that knows what it's doing, and know the airplane has the tooling, has the chops, availability, and it's your life and the customer's life. So we need to make sure that it is safe. And one of my rule of thumb is that before I deliver an airplane, I fly myself and make sure that it's squawk free, it's safe, no leaks, beautifully inspected and finished, washed and ready to go.
Now, when it comes to ownership, what would you say is a fairly low cost to maintain aircraft as a general aviation? If somebody just getting their first plane, what would you kind of recommend if it was a friend? Hey, if you want to be lower on the maintenance side, you probably should do.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that you could do as an owner. Change tires, change oil, watch the airplane, replace the corroded hardware, depending, access panels. But that's about it. I mean, the rest you just have to either go to school, get trained, so you could do it yourself, or hire somebody, an A&P, to do the maintenance for you.
As far as aircraft, right? There's a lot of older 172s out there, 150s, Cherokees. Out of the most common airplanes that kind of come your way, which are the maintenance hogs and which ones are pretty easy to service?
All the Cessnas, well, no, but this is a 210, this is a complex
More
airplane.
complex.
My 172s and the Warriors, PA-28s, they're easy bread. I mean, if they're good maintained, they're in and out in 1 or 2 days. And that's the easiest airplane that we could say that. When you get into complex or landing gears or Pipers, Arbor, those are more complex airplanes. And so that's gonna be more money. But if you want a simple airplane, inexpensive, 172 Warrior, an annual will run between 12 to 1700 depending on the shop. And
then anything else that comes out.
yeah, of course. But parts, oil, intake filter, vacuum regulator, max $200 on parts. Now if you need brakes, tires, ELT battery, that's pluses. Mm-hmm. But basic annual, everything is good, $200 on parts. Your ELT battery run between D batteries to $400 battery depending on the ELT. Statics, transponding static tests run from 250 to 600 depending on the equipment that you have. If you have G1000, 3 altimeter, dual transponder, of course it's going to be more expensive. But a simple airplane that has one transponder, one altimeter, one speed indicator, $250 every 2 years. And remember, you have 2 inspections to do an annual. If you're frequently flyer, you fly more than 100 hours a year, so you have to do 100 hours inspections. But if you fly 30, 40 hours a year, you only have to pay for annual inspections. And if the airplane is good, you'll be spending less money. The point is to address the squawks before going to the shop and keep the airplane 100% all the time, and don't wait until
the worst case scenario
is broken to send it to the shop. Like the word that I have outside, it's close to $6,000. Yes, in the squawks.
Yeah.
Okay. So it depends.
Right.
Depends, but other than that, I recommend Cessnas. Some Pipers are good. I have Columbias, I have Sierras. Every single one is different, but the principle is the same. They all have to be safe. And
I'm thinking for my next aircraft to go with the Piper Malibus. In reading about them, they're more complex, pressurized cabin, you name it. So many complaints about them being maintenance hogs. what has been your experience with them?
The mountain board, yes, you're running from, you're gonna jump from $1,700 base annual inspection to $4,500 inspection. Yes, it's pressurized. You had a 350 horsepower twin turbo engines. So you got turbos, you got hoses, you got pressurized magnetos, and you got a cabin that is deflating every time. Other than that, I'm flown in it. It's a pretty great airplane. It's limited to the useful load because it's a lot of fuselage and a long wing for that small engine. But it's doing it. Now, if you could get it to a jet prop, all right, that's a machine.
Yeah, they're nice. Great. Double the price.
Yeah, it's just $500,000 for the conversion, but it's a great thing. Also, the fuel consumption, you're gonna jump from 10 gallons to 20 gallons at 23,000 feet.
Yeah.
But you're gonna go places, you're gonna go above weather, you could have 3-4 people. You cannot go over 6 people on full fuel on that airplane.
Oh, no way.
All right, so the useful load is very important. But it's a good airplane too. But I'm sitting on the cockpit with my headset at, and my head is like that. So the cockpit is
kind of coned. Gotcha.
Yeah, so sit on it and fly before you buy one, because you're taller than me and you may encounter some difficulties to be comfortable.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And one more time, this is
Augustine from Zero Gravity Aviation, and you're more than welcome. My number is 786-436-0433. I'm here in Pompano, and go to 701. Yes, in front of that here, on the west side of the airport, and more than welcome to any questions and any business. Thank you.
So that's pretty much all she wrote for me for today. I just want to kind of mention something that wasn't quite picked up in the interview. So in talking to the mechanic, he said that the typical annual is going to run you on an entry-level aircraft about 12 to, let's just even go on the higher end, 2,000 just for the basic inspections, right? So that's to do the basic review. Take the plane apart. By take it apart, I mean they kind of pull out the interior. They pull off the cowling, which is the cover for the engine. They do pressurization checks, all the basic things. They check the pressurization of your cylinders, okay? And when checking that, they want to make sure there's no leaks, that the cylinders are still holding pressure well, everything is sealed. So that's going to be your most basic inspection. Then they're going to change your oil filter, air filters. Maybe they don't have to change any hoses. But every aircraft has what's called ADs. I believe they stand for, I'm thinking healthcare, but it's something in advanced directives, but I don't think that's what it stands for. If somebody knows, just please fill me in or use the comment section below. The ADs are kind of mandatory fixes, right? So sometimes it's parts that have been proven to cause issues. It could be like there was one AD that I had, like a hose that needed to be changed to a high pressure hose because they kept bursting, I guess. So that's good to know. So when you end up doing your annual inspection, I've never had one that went smoothly and it was just the $1,500 or $1,700. My annuals average about $5,000. On the high end, like $6,000, close to $7,000. Just because my plane is so old, things just go bad. And yeah, there hasn't been one. I think when I bought my aircraft, they had just did a $3,000 annual, and the end result was that I ended up spending like another $3,000 or $4,000 just to get the plane starting regularly, because I had a bunch of clogged fuel lines. It was bad, and that's because the plane, the gasoline plane is out for a while, gunk builds up. So it is true that owning a plane could be expensive, but if you budget for it monthly and you say, hey, this is going to cost me $6,000 a year, then set aside $500, right? In between that, you're just going to be doing oil changes and that sort of thing. So, it's not going to be so bad, all right? What I'm going to do is, after this video, on my new channel, which is the major announcement, I'm going to be launching a channel called Flight Forward. Now, Flight Forward is my nonprofit organization that was meant to really help people who normally wouldn't be seen as professional pilots. So this is to help people become commercial pilots, minorities, low-income people in the United States, as well as women. They're usually underrepresented. Flying is expensive, and it's something that I think more people should get into. But throughout the country, everybody who has an interest in flying, a lot of them get turned off either because they don't see themselves represented in the cockpit or the financial side of it. So Flight Forward is meant to address getting more people in the cockpit as professionals, and I'll be covering a whole lot more in aviation there. That is one of my passions. I don't cover it much here, so I want to have a dedicated channel for that. So stay tuned for that. Most likely the first video on Flight Forward is going to be my real ownership cost, going over the annual cost and how much it costs me to operate my plane for a year. Thank you for joining me here at ENTP Life. See me over on the new channel, Flight Forward, link down below. I want your subscribers to come on over, especially those of you who came over for aviation. This is entirely aviation, not so much on business talk. Love to see you there. Take care.